to think about how a modern warehouse doesn't just, completely collapse into chaos? I mean, every single day, thousands of items are pouring in, and somehow they all find their perfect spot. So how do they do it? How do they keep the madness at bay? Well, let's dive in and break it down. So, just picture this for a second. A massive truck backs up to the dock, the doors swing open, and it is packed to the ceiling with stuff. The big question is, where does it all go? You can't just start throwing it on the floor, right? There has to be a system, a logical starting point for all this inventory. So, what's step one in this incredibly organized dance? Well, that first stop on the journey is a place called the staging area. Now, this might be the unsung hero of the entire receiving dock. It's the first line of defense against that pandemonium we were just talking about. It's a special buffer zone that brings order to the process from the very second those goods come off the truck. Now, the key word here is interim. This is not long-term storage, not by a long shot. It's a temporary holding pen. Think of it like an entry hall in a house. You don't leave your groceries in the hall forever, right? You bring them in, put them down, and then figure out where they're going to go. And putting it right by the doors, that's just smart. It's all about efficiency and cutting down on wasted movement. So how does it all work in practice? It's really a pretty simple three-step flow. First, everything's unloaded from the truck directly into this staging area. Second, it just hangs out there for a bit, which gives the warehouse team a chance to sort things out. And finally, this is usually the point where they post the official goods receipt in the system, basically telling the computer, yep, we've got it, it's officially in our hands now. And this slide really nails the dual personality of a staging area. For everything coming in, it's that entry hall. But it works in reverse too. For stuff that's heading out, it becomes a departure lounge where all the picked and packed orders gather before they get loaded onto the next truck. It's this super flexible space that serves both the beginning and the end of the warehouse journey. Okay, let's peek behind the curtain at the system side of things. In the SAP software that runs the whole show, this physical space gets a special digital tag. It's assigned a storage type role of D. Now, that little letter D is a huge deal. It tells the system, hey, this is a temporary zone, not a final home. And that triggers a whole different set of rules for how to handle anything that's in it. All right, so we've got the goods inside, they're counted, they're organized, but what if a package needs a little more attention? What if it has to be opened up, checked for quality, maybe repacked into a different box, or broken down into smaller pieces? A staging area just isn't set up for that kind of detailed work. So where does all that happen? And that brings us to our next critical location, the work center. You can think of this as the specialist's workshop inside the warehouse. If the staging area is the big general lobby, the work center is like a dedicated operating room where very specific value-added tasks get done. Yeah, this is where the real work happens. It's a station that's built for a specific job. It's got everything needed, whether that's scales for weighing, tables and tape for packing, or special tools for doing quality inspections. This is the spot where a generic pallet of stuff gets transformed into something that's ready to go to a customer. And the range of stuff they do here is pretty wide. You've got the basics, of course, like packing. Then there's deconsolidation, which is just a fancy way of saying they're breaking down a big shipment into smaller parts. But they also handle more complex jobs, like quality checks and all sorts of other value-added services. You know, things like gift wrapping or adding special labels. So we get what a work center is, but how does the system actually manage it all? How does it know which tasks can happen where, and how does it control the flow of goods in and out of these super busy areas? Let's take a look under the hood. The secret sauce here is something in the system called the work center layout. This is basically a digital blueprint for the physical workstation. It controls everything: what a worker sees on their scanner, what functions they can perform. It totally defines what kind of work can be done in that spot. It's why one area might be for packing only, while the one next to it is all about quality control. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Work centers aren't all built the same way. As you can see, a simple one like Pack 1 is just a standalone station. But then you've got others like Pack 2 and Pack 4 that have these dedicated inbound and outbound sections, which are really just little holding areas attached to the main workspace. So why bother with an inbound section? Well, it's all about managing workflow and avoiding traffic jams. Imagine you've got two packing stations and you're not sure which one's going to be free first. The system can just send the package to a shared inbound area that acts like a queue. Then, whenever a worker is ready, they can just grab the next item from that queue and get to work. And the outbound section, it's pretty much the same logic. Once a task is done, let's say a box is packed, sealed, and labeled, you don't want it just sitting there clogging up the workspace. So you move it to the outbound section. That sends a signal to the system and to other workers that this item is finished and ready for the next leg of its journey, which is usually finding its final home in a storage bin. Okay, so let's zoom back out and bring this all together. We started with this vision of pure chaos at the loading dock, right? But by putting these two simple core ideas into practice, staging areas and work centers, a warehouse creates a clear, predictable, and super efficient flow for everything coming in the door. Let's just trace that journey one last time. A package hits the dock. First, it goes straight to the staging area for that initial check-in and sort. Then, if it needs special work, it moves to a work center. There, the task gets completed. And finally, it's officially ready for put away. See, it's just a smooth, logical progression from one step to the next. At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Staging areas and work centers are the fundamental building blocks that turn that potential chaos into control. They are the difference between a frantic, disorganized mess and a streamlined, efficient, modern operation. They literally create the rules of the road for the warehouse. So we've solved the problem at the receiving dock. Our package is processed, it's ready to go, but its journey is far from over. Now it has to be put away into its final storage spot somewhere inside this massive warehouse. So that leads us to the next big question. What's the next bottleneck in the journey of a package?
Hey everyone, and welcome.